Helen, you said you'd been having a good chat this morning.
I went for a walk with picture bookmaker Jane Porter this morning, and we started off this chat by talking about whether we'd had gaps where we didn't draw for a while. And we both agreed that we have. And I'm having one right now, actually. When I say drawing, I mean drawing in a sketchbook. I'm still illustrating. But there's been periods in my life where I've been sketchbook crazy. I just want to do it all the time. It's my thing. I started the walk to see hashtag on Instagram, drawing, just love it. But since starting Good Shape and having that brilliant creative couple of years where I was drawing a lot and I was drawing for Instagram sometimes and sharing loads of sketches, I just, in the end, I feel now like, I need a break. And if I do draw anything, I'm drawing it secretly, quietly, and I don't want to share it. What about you two? Have you had gaps in your drawing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a bit of a secret drawing phase. And I think it is that, what's the word? Like you scunner yourself. That's the normal word. Like you sicken yourself if you share every single drawing you do online, because you get to a point where, I don't know, you just feel like you want to keep something back for yourself, don't you?
I think I ended up feeling like I'm going to do a drawing and I'm going to share this, so it better be good. Yeah. And that feeling ruins it completely. So I want to get back to the feeling of I don't really share very much that I do anymore. Then when I draw, it's just for its own sake.
I realised the thing this morning that you have to draw so much to get back into it. I haven't drawn that much outside of drawing maps. God, I don't think... Oh, I have. I always draw when I go on holiday and try and do the big push, right? This is for you, just have fun drawing. But the holiday never seems long enough. Just as you're about... You can see the improvement in the drawing. That's the end, and it's back to normal life, where I should still obviously keep drawing. But at the moment, having done a load of... It feels like it's been such a business a year and a website a year. And I feel quite far removed from drawing, but I'm desperate to start this new project for myself, which has got this kind of push-pull effect going on. I'm like, everything's going to be lovely when I settle down into my new studio and start drawing. And I really desperately want to draw. But life is either getting in the way or I'm allowing it to get in the way. And it's like having a weird relationship. I'm just like, I just want to snuggle up in bed with my pencils and draw and have a lovely time. But I'm kind of not letting myself. What's going on? I need therapy.
It's so hard with time though, isn't it? I feel like if you don't do something on purpose, you never do it.
I don't do anything unless I'm forced to do it.
Yeah.
That's the horror. I need someone to force me, come and wave a bunch of notes in my face and say, you've got till Thursday. And I'll do it because, my neural pathway for 30, 40 years has been, I would like an illustration. Here's your deadline. And this is the fee. And that's the only way I get things done.
Yeah.
So
crying
now
and
to
sweating.
do...
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I think there's no point feeling guilty about it. Like all of us, I think, since starting the Good Ship have drawn from life less than we did before.
Definitely.
But I think that's because our creative energies are being used somewhere else. And we do art club and that kind of itches that scratch a bit as well.
Oh,
and I
art
think
clubs.
in my life, when I look back over my entire life, there have definitely been periods where I've drawn less. Like when I was a teenager and my social life was going mad, I drew less.
Yeah.
And those phases just come and go, don't they?
Yeah. Didn't you say when in your Substack you had to stop berating yourself about that you're lazy, you're not doing drawing, because you're sorting the house out, you're sorting your family life out and doing so many other important things that because you're not nose to the grindstone working like a lunatic like you used to, you feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I've had to really have a word with myself about it. I'm just working like the average person.
Yeah.
And so I shouldn't feel bad about that.
Wouldn't I say to you, like every 3 months, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, you were always saying that. I don't know how I did it now. I'm glad to be off that treadmill.
I'm glad you are as well. I just used to think sometimes it would scare me. I'd look at everything you were doing and think, my brain would be frying by now. I would have blown up. But then I thought, you look at other people and think maybe they're made of different things. Like, Louise Lockhart describing her year and moving a house and building a barn. And
I think that's it. There's periods in your life though where you feel totally on it and capable of it. And I definitely went through a phase of that. But now the house needs doing. I don't know what else. All of a sudden, other things in my life are a bit of more of a priority. That's fine, isn't it?
Your energy levels are always different as well, aren't they? Because you'll go through like, let's go. And then and
you run a marathon and then you need to walk for a bit.
Definitely. And also you have, like, when I had a baby, I had romantic ideas about maternity leave and just drawing her and snuggling. It doesn't happen.
No.
I only did one drawing when she was a newborn, and then I drew her when she was maybe 18 months old. And also every drawing you do of your child doesn't look good enough because your child's perfect.
Yeah. And every time you pick up a sketchbook and a pencil, they take it off you.
Yeah, I don't even get my pencils out anymore because she's, really posh, nice sketchbooks, and she'll just be like, have a go, mummy. And then 30 pages of just a line through each page.
I remember when you spoke to Jill Calder I think it was in the Freak Flag course.
Yeah.
She says when she gets to the end of a huge project, if she's just done a massive project, she just goes on holiday and does not draw for weeks until she gets the urge again, and then she starts again. I remember hearing that and thinking, phew.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guilt surrounding it because you feel like sometimes it feels as though it's some sort of holy vocation that you've taken up, and you're meant to love drawing when you're working on paid illustration, and then you finish it and you go, I'll just do a little sketch because I still love drawing.
Especially as I started that walk to see hashtag. For a while, when I wasn't drawing, I thought, I better keep that quiet.
If anyone discovers.
If anybody finds out, I'm done.
Well, the worst thing is if you're having a busy work time, drawing for work. So I had a time where I was doing loads, actually recently, like the end of last year when I felt a bit frazzled, I'd be drawing for, 6 or 7 hours at an event. And then I was like, I'll take a Jane Porter, actually. Again, I did the comics class. So I'd finish 7 hours of drawing and then be on the train home trying to do the comics class. I was like, I like drawing. I like reminding myself. But then I was like, I'm just so tired. I don't want to draw anymore. And I felt really bad and beat myself up about it. But in hindsight, duh, Kate, you've been drawing all day. It's like running all day and then going for a walk in the evening.
You've got to be realistic about it, haven't you?
Busman's holiday.
Yeah, and sometimes have a pragmatic approach. I mean, I remember thinking in the peak of my career, editorial career, I don't think many people do, as we were talking earlier, do only editorial now because the pay is not great and it's really hard to live purely on that. And the turnover was kind of bad enough anyway that jobs would just pop in and they suddenly need you right there and then for 3 days. And can you meet a deadline by Friday? So I felt like I spent about 25 years of my life just being on call and cancelling things constantly. And then I cancelled stuff so much, I didn't book things anymore like friends or holidays or theatre, or I just didn't do any of those things. And I lived on an island. It took me a long while to get into town to do anything. So for a great chunk of time, I just was like, I'll sit by my computer and work and not do things like try and fit out the front room or change the broken toilet or these housey things that you end up doing. And when you do them, you're like, this has taken a chunk of time out from work. Is this what other people do? Like they sort their house out or do their garden. So it's become as a bit of a revelation that you could do those things, but not in the same way as illustrators who are just there. I felt like a doormat, actually. I made myself into a doormat and I didn't have a life. I was a
bit as well because that eagerness to get work means you just kind of put everything else in your life aside for this one goal. And for us, it's paid off, hasn't it? It's been brilliant. I'm glad I did it, but I'm really glad to be out the other side and that I can now go and potter in the garden for a few days. And it feels just as lovely as drawing. It feels like another creative outlet and it's really valuable.
Well, when you made your flags and things and you knew that you need to do something, you needed to kind of come off the work mania and do something calming, but you still needed to be creative. So doing sewing and finding creativity in other forms, like even cooking is such a joy to give time and creativity and value to other activities instead of thinking, I just got to keep working.
I think that's the thing. If you're like, I am an illustrator and you're not drawing for a while and you start getting a bit like, am I still an illustrator? Because that's really tricky, isn't it? Yeah, especially if you get your self-worth from your work and making work and drawing.
Isn't it a really lovely freeing feeling if you think, am I an illustrator? Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What am I? I don't know. That doesn't matter at all. Isn't that a lovely idea?
I like that one. Yeah, because your identity is so much of that and being the artist. But I think sometimes just opting out to do something else instead and develop another part of yourself, because you end up doing the same neural pathways over and over again, doing these same things, that the rest of your life starts to dwindle, whether it's relationships or family or home. And you do need to give time back to that. I reckon drawing in a way that gets your illustration projects done really quickly is the way forward. So if your style is highly wrought, highly rendered, don't go and work in editorial because...
Well, actually, I just had a chat with somebody this morning who told me that she's been doing a long-term magazine job. I don't know how long for. I didn't ask enough questions, and I'm passing on half a story here, but she told me that in New Year she got an email saying, Happy New Year, we're cutting your fee by 40%. Bye. No discussion, no choice, nothing. That's editorial work.
But that was a US job.
US job.
That's really grim, and all we can hope is that it's brought it back to a UK rate because the Americans always pay
a lot
more,
more, don't they?
But even the UK rates are not great now. So I think anyone who's working in editorial needs to develop a way of working that works with your secret day rate against
way of
the
working.
fee. Because really, if the fee's $350 for a quarter page, half page, and I used to spend a week and a half on something like that. That's madness now to think of. Really, you could do a day and a half max.
I was going to say half a day.
Well, half a day, depending where you're at and what your exposure is. I mean, some people like the exposure of editorial, that it has some value as opposed to doing something that's going to go in a corporate report that no one will see. You could kind of say, oh, right, I'll give it 2 days. But really, a lot of people's day rates are not far off that or above it.
Yeah. I was thinking with stuff like that, with the fast deadline, it's the stress cost as well, isn't it? Like the checking your emails all the time, making sure and submitting it on time, and then making sure they've got it.
Sacrificing the other bits of your life.
It's awful. And I've had jobs like that in the past where you think you're done, and then you go for a day out to celebrate. You go for a cuppa, and then you get an email on your phone. You're like, oh, I've got to edit this. Like I remember going to Barter Books one day, and it's a very good bookshop, by the way. And then we were having a cup of tea, and then I got this email from the client being like, oh, you need to change this thing, but we need it now, basically. So I had my laptop in the car trying to edit this. It's so stressful.
We've really you got to think, what are your boundaries in a job? I mean, I think that's so important.
I would never do that now.
When something's finished, when it's over, signed off. But to come back at you and say it isn't finished and they're in a hurry, therefore you must be in a hurry. No, it's not right. But when you're younger, you just capitulate.
You just go with it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, if you can hear panting, it's not me. Billy, Tanya's dog, is on the biggest cushion you've ever seen in front of the stove, and the stove is lit. I think Billy's cooking.
A gently roasted border terrier.
Yeah, that's the sound of a happy terrier panting away like a little roast beast. Oh,
she goes. Yeah, she doesn't draw and she doesn't care. She doesn't feel bad.
Let's be like Billy.
Yeah, be more Billy.
Lovely.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.